What is a library? How would you define a library? Maybe as a place with books? These days, libraries also check out more unusual items like kayaks, KitchenAid mixers, sewing machines, and museum and zoo passes. But when I say the word library, most people probably think of books. Do you recognize these pictures? Yes, they are from the season 7 premiere of Game of Thrones. But do you notice anything odd about this library or about the books? That's right, the books are in chains. Now, was that something the screenwriters and producers did for a dramatic and creepy effect? Actually, chained libraries were very common in medieval Europe. Here are a few pictures of real chained libraries. Why do you think books were chained? Well, so they wouldn't be stolen, right? But why would they be stolen? Because they were valuable. And according to historian B.H. Streeter, in the Middle Ages, a book was said to be worth as much as an entire farm. Back then, books were copied and illustrated by hand, so they were valuable in terms of the time and resources spent to create them. But they were also valuable because of what they contained. Information is power, right? Absolutely. But that was the Middle Ages. Are books in libraries chained today? Of course not. Libraries are all about freedom, right? Let's ask some famous authors. Ta-Nehisi Coates says, "I was made for the library, not the classroom." The classroom was a jail of other people's interests. The library was open, unending, free. And Neil Gaiman says, "But libraries are about freedom. Freedom to read, freedom of ideas, freedom of communication. They are about education, about entertainment, about making safe spaces, and about access to information." These are lovely, inspiring statements, and I think I and many other people would agree with them. But there's always a but, isn't there? But what about course reserves? At MCC, we keep course reserves behind the information desk, and you cannot check them out. You must ask for them, and you can only use them for a certain amount of time. Is that a kind of chain? Now, I'm not saying course reserves are bad at all. They serve a very useful purpose by providing many students from the same classes access to limited materials. But what about reference books? These books are available on the library's shelves but cannot be checked out. You must come to the library in person to read them, and you can only do that when the library is open. Is that a type of chain? What do you think? When I worked at a public library, there were books that were stolen many, many times. The library got tired of replacing them, and libraries do have limited funds that they have to spend wisely. So they put those books behind the reference desk. People could not check them out, and they had to ask a librarian for them. In the 4 years I worked there, I only handed out one of those books one time in 4 years. If people are too embarrassed to ask for a book, or if they don't even know it's there, is that a type of chain? What about DVDs? Many libraries have locks on their DVD cases so that the discs cannot be stolen. That makes sense, but often library staff forget to unlock the case before they send it to another library for someone who has been waiting months and months for a popular new release. In some libraries, adults who got fines as children cannot check out anything until they pay the fines, which are sometimes in the hundreds of dollars. Is that a chain? Now, these last two are probably most relevant to your experience as an MCC student. Lots of information you need as a student is chained, in a matter of speaking, in databases and behind other paywalls. Maybe you've gotten this login message while trying to access the library's resources from off campus. You just need to use the same login information that you use for Brightspace, and because you are an MCC student, you will get access. You can also find lots of scholarly articles by doing a Google search or by using Google Scholar. But many times you will have to pay the publisher to access them. Like this example from the publisher, Taylor and Francis. $45. What if you needed 5 articles for a paper? With tax, that would run you about $250. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of money to spend on an article I'm not even sure will be what I need. Talk about chains. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that scholars deserve to be fairly compensated for their hard work, and publishers need to earn a profit or they won't be able to exist. But I also believe that students shouldn't have to pay so much for information. Thankfully, the MCC library exists, and you don't have to pay for information. We have millions of free resources, and if we don't have something, we can get it for you quickly, for free, through interlibrary loan. And anyway, some of your tuition and fees support the library, so you should definitely use our services. And that's all for this mini lesson. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the other videos.